ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦਿਸ ਐਪੀਸੋਡ ਆਫ ਦ ਹਰਪ੍ਰੀਤ ਸਿੰਘ ਸ਼ੋ। ਸਮਾਜ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਐਸੇ ਲੋਕ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਕਾਮਯਾਬੀ ਹਾਸਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੁੰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਕਿਸੇ ਦਾ ਨੁਕਸਾਨ ਹੋ ਜਾਏ। ਪਰ ਨਾਲ ਹੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਵੇਖਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਸਮਾਜ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੁਝ ਐਸੇ ਵੀ ਲੋਕ ਹਨ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਸਭ ਕੁਝ ਵਾਰ ਕੇ ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਮਦਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ, ਦੂਸਰਿਆਂ ਦੀ ਸੇਵਾ ਕਰਦੇ ਨੇ। ਐਸੀ ਹੀ ਇੱਕ ਸ਼ਖਸੀਅਤ ਹਨ ਫਾਦਰ ਜੋਸਫ ਪੁਥੇਨਪੁਰਾ, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕਿ ਪਠਾਨਕੋਟ ਵਿੱਚ ਸੇਂਟ ਫਰਾਂਸਿਸ ਹੋਮ ਚਲਾ ਰਹੇ ਨੇ। So Father Joseph, when did the idea start that we ought to have a place like this where children who are deaf, dumb or handicapped can be brought and given some kind of service?
You see, it's a long time back. In 1970, I used to go with the CMC team during the summer vacation to visiting all these handicapped children. CMC had a program that time. But what happened was, after some years, they closed it. Then from that day onwards, I was planning to have some kind of to work for these people. But then I was given opportunity only in 92, when my bishop asked me whether I could take up this project. So I jumped in, I must say. And then we started to look for a suitable place of land. First, my hope was that I would get a piece of land on Beas River, or Beas Bank. It will be calm, or at least one side will be free, open. So nobody would come and construct anything and obstruct the children's view. So, but that fell through. Then 97, we managed to get this plot of land, 22 acres of land. Again, our work was held up because of lack of access road. The railways closed our access road. Then we had to run after many ministers, officials. Finally, 2007 only we could start our project. And we started with the 6 children that time. Of course, we didn't have the infrastructure also. And it took many years to build up the infrastructure. But by the grace of God, today we are able to serve 109 children on daily basis. Of that, 45 of them live with us in the hostel. Then children come for OPD services, for speech therapy, for occupational therapy. They are brought by the parents. And the main thing is getting trained teachers.
Right.
And we insist that those who work at St. Francis Home should be properly trained. So now we have. And in that situation, we thought we would start a training center as well for the teachers.
Okay.
Now, from 2012 onward, we started the training. We have 25 trainees with us. Our hope is that they would learn quality work. Not only for us, wherever they go, they should give a proper, what we call, grounding to our children, serve the children who come to them.
Right.
Because normal children, if they find something wrong, they may not be able to tell their teachers, but they would go and tell their parents that the teacher did not do this work or that work or what. These children, there's nobody. The teachers have to anticipate their needs and act accordingly. So that's why we started this whole thing.
So in Punjab, how serious is this problem? Because you interact with the people and you have been seeing.
Yeah.
So according to you, how serious is this problem, and has the government taken some interest in these kind of works?
Government, theoretically, yes. But then, like teachers everywhere, they're not properly motivated. Especially in this field, you must have a commitment for the welfare of these children. The thing is, the number of children suffering from this retardation is increasing. Not only in Punjab, throughout India.
Right.
And mainly they say the cause is alcoholism among the parents. That is a big problem.
Right.
Yeah, that affects the fetus.
Right.
And the children who are born They suffer from all this.
So when you started with this, what kind of challenges did you face and how did you overcome those?
Main challenge was getting a proper teachers. Secondly, funds. Because we have been approaching government for many a time to help us out. And there are funds available,
Right.
but they are not willing to give us. So that's a big problem.
Right.
Second problem is we cannot accommodate all the children who come here. Because the reason is we don't have the space. More than the space is the number of teachers we need to look after them.
Correct.
The ratio is very high because we cannot afford that money.
So
That's why we have to restrict them.
So what's the criteria then which is adopted to have a child over here?
Criteria, if they are from villages, we always give preference. Secondly, girls children, we give a criteria.
Right.
You know very well, we have our girls face special difficulties in our society. More so in the case of differently able children.
Right.
So that's the reason we thought we must have residential facilities for the girls. And by the grace of God, we have accommodation for, let's say, 75 children. At the moment, we only are taken 45.
Right.
The reason is to run a hostel is not easy.
Right.
We need more staff, we need funds to feed them, and many of the cases we have to give the clothing as well as the shoes.
So
all that.
where is the funding coming from? And again, as financing is a major problem, and how much exactly, if you can just let me know, what is your budget and how, where is the money coming from?
For this year, this finance year, which is coming to an end, our proposed budget was 44 lakhs of rupees.
Right.
We already crossed that. Major chunk of it, chunk of that money, that is 20 lakhs, was given by the Diocese of Jalandhar, our bishop.
Right.
The rest we have to raise, and some still pending. Some bills are still pending. We have about 12 lakhs rupees pending bill for this year.
Right.
Next year, the Lord knows. But then I believe what we are doing is with the special children of God, and He would help us through.
So with the coming up of this St. Francis home over here in Pathankot, over the past few years, what are you finding with these facilities now available to the local villagers?
Yes.
How has the children's life changed? What was it earlier and what is it now?
Now, just now we saw a small girl, no, who said she's suffering from fever. When she came, she was brought by her parents on their shoulders. She couldn't walk. We made her stand. She can walk with a walker, and hopefully one day she would be able to. Even now, she can take a few steps without the aid of walker.
Right.
That's a great idea. Then you saw that small child, Priya. That child, she couldn't even sit up. Now she can dance. She can do Bhangra. Can you imagine that?
Right.
By the grace of God, within 3 years, she can dance, she can run, she can play, and there are a number of children who will. But then, in the case of mentally challenged children, a stranger may not be able to sense what progress the child has made, but we know it's always incremental.
Right.
And the parents admit that. And that, I think, for us, it is an encouraging factor. Let's put that way. It's not our achievement.
Right.
And where the parents are more active and involved, the progress is fantastic. But very often what happens is that many parents, not maybe because of their poverty, or maybe because they are so sort of depressed with these children, they don't give much care.
So child comes over here. What is the daily schedule? So those who are in the hostel and those who are taken back.
Yes.
So what happens? If you could let us know, what is the daily schedule? How are these children given the kind of requirement education? What is required for them? So how are they treated?
We start with morning prayer, then an assembly. And in winter, to get rid of the cold, we make them run also. They also enjoy that, limbering up, so to say. Afterwards, we try to give them some kind of academic thing, whom we can. For example, children who are mildly retarded, they are taught how to read, write, count. Then, at the same time, you also try to give them vocational training. Many of them can now make candles. Now we want then the girls, they are very good at stitching. But always remember, mentally challenged child or a person cannot take decision on his own or her own.
Right.
They have to be given a decision. They can follow the orders, but not take a decision. So, these children learn, and as long as the teacher is there to guide them what to do, they do fantastically well. And some of these girls who do fantastic this embroidery work, what you call fabric painting, all this. Now we want to introduce the boys to carpentry and motor winding, because as long as they know how to count, how many rounds of wire they have to use, they can find employment.
Right.
Under the direction of somebody. At home also they can do, as long as their parents or brothers help them to find a market. And there is a lot of market.
So, Father, approximately how many years a child has to spend over here, and what happens after he or she has been trained? So, they just go back to their homes, or are there some special projects where they can be involved in?
There are projects. And we, especially for girls, one day we hope to start adult residential facility. That is to say, see, for a parent with a child, with a differently abled child, always the worry is what would happen to their child after they are born.
Right.
Now, the state also is trying to provide a lifelong shelter. But we also would like to start lifelong shelter for girls above 18. Because after 18, as per Indian law, the differently abled child becomes a ward of the state.
Right.
Yeah, the state can give the guardianship to the parents, to an institution, to a committee, all that. But otherwise, they are the wards of the state. But we would like to start that project if the government and the society helps us to do so.
How are you trying to involve the local public also, and also how are you trying to raise awareness about this particular home to the public at large?
What we do, every year we have awareness campaigns. We go to the city, to the schools with the children. Children give some item, then we explain their special needs, how we can be involved with their development. That we do. And rallies also we conduct in the city. And then whenever we have a function, we try to invite others so that they can see what these children can do.
Right.
And a lot they can do.
Generally, what we find in the Indian system is that for the people who are retarded, or especially the children, the general thing is we always sympathize with them. But do you think that enough is being done like in the West?
Sympathy is not that what they need. What they need, an opportunity to develop their abilities, to stand, to lead a life with dignity. They're only asking for their justice, nothing more.
Right. So, like as I said, in the West, they're given equal opportunities, but over here, still that kind of thinking has not come forward.
Not yet. It will take, though there are a lot of laws regarding the equal opportunity for the disabled, but it is not implemented properly. Then again, our mindset is different. Because we, in our mind, the society at large, they are not willing to accept the very existence of them. We are still on a denial mode. Till our society accepts, yes, they are part of it. Maybe we are all differently able.
Right.
With even the so-called normal people, they are not. We don't have all the abilities what is required.
Right.
We have something or something lacking, but we are not willing to accept or to acknowledge they are also like us.
Right. So, being with them for so long, what are the special qualities you have found in these children, and what makes you go what you are doing?
The most important thing is their willingness to accept you as you are, and their joy in being to be move around, and even a small achievement they are proud, and we must acknowledge their achievement. And once you give a push, you know how far they can go.
And what would be your recommendation to parents, especially who are having children who are handicapped or retarded?
I would say they should never feel discouraged, never should think that special child is a curse, but a gift of God. That's what I advise to all the parents and all of us who are involved in helping these children. It is a service to God.
Thousands of people who are watching this program today, what would your message be to them, especially in Canada, who are going to watch this program? How can they also be a part of this movement which you have initiated?
First thing is, there should be an openness. Maybe in India, maybe in Canada, accept them as they are and love them, not as sympathy. They're not seeking your sympathy,
Right.
but love and appreciation.
And also, how can they be a part of this St. Francis home? How can they also contribute whatever they want, if they want? And how can they be a part of this movement?
There are two ways. One is, if some of them, there may be professionals who can come and help us in our work for these children. It would be a great help for us, not only for us, for the children as well, because they have other talents which these children can learn from them.
Right.
Okay. Then of course monetarily also they can, financially also, they can help us. These are the things they can do.
Father, thank you very much for your time. Pleasure having you. Thank you.
Thank you, and God bless you.